Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to walk through another example of bringing in a survey conversion that we've just finished up into a project, and we felt like the GIS location of the boundary for this preliminary site plan wasn't very beneficial or conducive to the project, and we were kind of tight on space. So the client dug through some records and found an old survey, and it shows that we have more property in the area that we needed, which is good. So we did a quick conversion from a vector-based PDF, and we're going to bring it in. And I just wanted to show you how we'll just do a best case match based on the aerial photography and line up that survey information, and then we'll make some changes to the site plan. So let's learn. Okay, so we have our survey that we've just converted here, or we brought in from a vector-based PDF, and we've really only kept the information that we need. And so these objects are all on the civil logistics layers. I'm gonna copy with base point. Um, I'm gonna copy with a base point here, and I'm just gonna pick any point. And normally if it's a survey that's geolocated, we'll copy from base point 00. But this wasn't, we just imported it in from a PDF file, so there was no geolocation on it. I'm going to just drop it in here first and then turn it into a group. If I had made it a group in the other drawing and then brought it in, it would have pasted as, without being a group. So I wanted to go ahead and make this a group first so that I can move it around correctly. And so now we don't need this other file anymore because I've brought that into the drawing. Save, I'll say yes, and then we'll get back into this file. Now this we don't need, the aerial we don't need, so I'm going to go back to our normal site layers, and actually I'm going to go to the existing conditions or demo layers, which is CS and then M, and well, I don't see the survey in there. That is clearly on the wrong layer, so I'm going to put that on the proper layer. Mostly what we're going to want are these curbs, this sidewalk, and that curb, and instead of deleting it, I'm just going to move it off to the side 3,000 units. And we don't really want this information either, so I'm going to select rest, so I can get rid of that, and let's move that off 3,000. And then now I'm going to move this around and see if we can't find a good fit. Alright. Trying to line this up. Now that doesn't appear to line up very well. This is actually pretty poor. It's not uncommon to get surveys that are pretty bad, but this one is particularly bad. Let me open up this survey again and see how old it is. 2007. I know that all of this McDonald's and this stuff has been there long before 2007. And actually, we know that's probably not correct, because if that's how wide the road is, then it really should be that wide here, but we know that's not right. I wonder if someone drew this off of an old aerial photograph maybe and just got it wrong. But let's just do the best we can. So this looks like it's pretty good. Maybe here we could shift it to the east a little bit. That looks like we could shift it to the east a little bit. That looks like it's pretty good. This actually looks like it should be to the west a little bit. That lines up okay, and that lines up okay. So we have a number of things kind of suggesting that we move it to the east. So let's move it to the east just a little bit. That looks better, that looks decent, that looks decent there, that looks pretty good. We already know this is wrong, so we'll just assume that that's part of that. And that's pretty good there, and pretty good there, but then we know this is wrong. So I think that's kind of a decent best fit for now. And looks like this was all improved probably at some point. So I know there's been a bunch of improvements here since 2007. So I think that's probably pretty decent. So let's leave that there. And then going back to the site plan. So one of the things that was important before, I know that the city of Roswell likes to make you dedicate space behind the sidewalk. We're going to come off, they usually want 1 foot, but I don't think that sidewalk's in the right place, so I'm going to do 2 feet, and we'll pretend like this is going to be the new right-of-way dedication. And so I'm going to put that on that layer, but they haven't asked for that yet. I'm just making an assumption that they might in the future, so I want to plan ahead. So I'm going to put that on 251 so it doesn't show up. And then I'm going to measure my 10-foot landscape strip from there, which is going to be right there. Put it on that layer. Okay, so we have a little bit of room to work with versus what we had assumed before. But now the main benefit is, look at this, we have a lot more room back here. So that's good because we had a problem with depth. We wanted to have a bypass lane there, but this also is a problem because we had some parks there and now we really don't have that space. But I'd rather have the space in the back so that we can fit in the bypass lane, which the client wants, than worrying about these 3 parking spaces, which are not a big deal. So let's just clean this up a little bit and kind of get a new wireframe going so that we can have someone finish this up. And I'm going to turn the map off so that it's a little bit easier to see. I am going to, that line is in the wrong place. That line is in the wrong place. We'll get rid of the gutter line. And that is not 12 feet. Explode. Explode. And let's just fix up some of this stuff. 9, 9, 9, 9. This should be like that. And then this should be like that. And then we'll do this trim. We'll do that. We'll do that. And when you're trying to decide, I could have put these extra spaces here and then had this island do something like this instead. And the way you want to choose that is think about which is the main drive aisle. So in this case, this is the main drive aisle. So if you could choose to do your island like this, or choose your island to do like this, we want to have more parking spaces on the main aisle. So I'd rather have spaces here for the main drive aisle than over here for this secondary aisle. So I'm not going to do the island like that. I'm going to do it like this. And When that doesn't trim properly, just use the BR command for break, and then you can move this around like that. Okay, and the client wanted to tighten this up, so let's take this down to a 12. They wanted to get a bypass lane over here. So if we do that as 10, really probably doesn't need to be that big, but let's see what we can do. And so now it looks like we had another problem over here. These spaces are 18, which looks good. $18 there, 24 there, and look, those are not lined up to the 24. And then 18 there. That doesn't line up. So where these lines were before was not correct. They said we don't need a dumpster there, so we'll get rid of that. And we know we can't fit these spaces there because it's not on their property anymore. So we'll fix that. And these are all in the wrong space, so they have to be deleted. So they didn't touch up with the wireframe here or there. They're just offset in the wrong place. Okay. And so we'll make a nice clean line there. We'll measure 9. We'll do this to 18, lengthen to 18. Put that on the proper layer, and then we can start offsetting by 9 to have these spaces going across here. Okay, now you can see, look, this lines up exactly there, lines up exactly there. This is exactly 18. This is exactly 24. This is exactly 18. So those are our wireframes, those basic dimensions that we're checking. All right, now let's see how much space we have to move this back. Looks like we have about 18 feet that we can move it back. I think there's a 3 or a 5 foot landscape strip. So if we move all of this back, let's say we move it back to that line right there. And then we're going to move from there to there. And I am going to turn off some things. And so that we can grab all of this and move it at the same time, the appropriate distance. Okay, looks like we have most of that. And let's move that from there. Nope, I messed up. M move, let's see if I can do P for previous, yes. And then I'll go from that endpoint to that endpoint. Now that's lined up where we want it to be. Get rid of that old line there. And let's go back to our site layers. Okay, so we're behind this landscape strip again, which is good. This was our old boundary, which we really don't need anymore. We're just going to get rid of that. This 5 foot setback. we're going to come in there. That was our 5-foot setback line. And it was a build to line. So with this particular code, the building needs to be between 5 feet and 85 feet. And so let's actually call this something else. Instead of the setback, that's a little confusing for this code. So let's go to, we'll just grab the proposed label. And we'll call this 5-foot build to zone, BTZ. And then we're going to have another one back here, an 85-foot BTZ. 85-foot build to zone. Okay? And then a lot of times in these corners of parking lots, I like to use 20 as a default. If it needs to get a little tighter, I'll go to a 15, but 20 is usually just a nice curve dimension. And show you how I like to do these things. When you have this side piece that doesn't line up exactly with that, you can use AT and choose the 20-foot radius. It's the same type of situation. And you make that curve and then just simply slide it forwards or backwards until it lines up with where that curve is. And then do the 5-foot radius like that. And then it actually just looks really nice. Looks like it curves the right amount and goes straight into the parking. Okay, so this is not right because it's dimensioned bigger than 24, but it was supposed to be 24. And so let's measure. Yeah, that's closer to 23 feet. So that is just not correct. That actually looks good. If we want it to be 24, it's halfway between that property line. That one looks decent, but this one was not correct. And so it looks like a lot of this is off. Let's look at this again. Offset 18. That one looks right. Offset 24. That one looks right. And then how far was this? 17 and a half. Let's offset that by 5. Oh, you see how there's that radius there? That's because offset gap type is set to 1. That should typically be 0. So if you ever see that, make sure it's set to 0. And now we'll offset again 0.5, and that's correct. Okay, now that lines up properly. And we're going to stitch it together to this outside line here. Break. And we'll do a no trim 20. And then another that is what we really want. So do a no trim 20 there. And let's fix this. Let's move all of these over a little bit. From there, nope. Move P for previous from there to the perpendicular of there. We'll refix this thing again. So move that down. Use that. Okay, and so they said we didn't need a dumpster there, but they wanted 2 dumpsters over here. So let's grab this thing. See if we can't fit this in somewhere over here. Put that to there. We'll get rid of this one. We'll draw a line along this. We'll line this up with that. And put that like that. And we're going to make that 12. Actually, for this part, let's make that 14, so we just have a little bit of extra space there. And then we'll do a 10 there, and maybe we do a 10 over here to give them some extra space. Yeah, let's do that. I'm going to do a trim 10 instead of a no trim 10. There's a trim 10. And then we'll do the same thing there. How big is this? It's supposed to be 12. It's 10 and some change. Well, we're going to leave that for now because we've already lined up our entire drive aisle. We'll do 11. And go back, do that 10 again. A 3 tangent circle. Okay, pickup window, and let's offset that the same 14, and then let's move this building back in this direction so that we can fit a little patio out front, maybe like that. And then we'll just do that. We'll do this. And then we'll do a line from here to there. And this will be our patio area. H for hatch. And I'll select this. I'm in the Properties tab. And let's pick herringbone. Usually a hatch scale of 2. Although here that's not going to work because that already looks too big. Let's try 0.3. It's looking a little better. And then I'll put that on the site hatch layer. So now that looks like a patio. We could even label that if we want to. Patio. Except we'd want that to be capital. And another command we can use, we can select that and hit TE for text east. Let's make this magenta because that's concrete there, and then let's see how we can fit this in here. See if we can fit more parks. And let's try like a 15-foot radius there, maybe see how that looks. from there to there. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And then we'll just do a small radius there. Actually, I think Roswell has some strong landscape code, so we're gonna just take away a parking space. We'll go to a 20. Let's try this again. And then we'll do like a 3 here. Yeah, that looks fine. So this is a big radius getting in here. I think that's going to be an easy turn to make. You know, we could tell them, hey, if you're going this way, you need to make a left. And then when you get here, you need to make a left. And then when you get here, you need to make a left here as well. And then when you're going to the pickup window, you just go straight. This guy shows that you can go both directions here. This shows that you can go both directions there. We have this build to zone. The build to zone is actually over there. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Really, the original goal of this thing was to show you how to line up this new boundary and slot that in and line it up. You know, as always, things don't line up exactly. They're not perfect, but you gotta pick the best choice with what you've got, and we've done that. And so this is the basic layout. There's still a little bit of cleaning up to do, but we'll end for there since we kind of showed you the difficult parts, and stay tuned for the next video. Thanks so much.